We continue now at the top of Daf Kuf Chaf Amid Beis in Meseches Pesachim. This is Pesachim Daf 120b. The Gemara here continues the Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi says, Nisnamnu yochelu. The Mishnah had said that if the whole group falls asleep, they cannot continue eating Korban Pesach when they wake up. Rabbi Yossi says if they just doze off, then they could continue. That's not really sleeping. But nirdemu, if they have a deep sleep, lo yochelu, then they shouldn't eat it. HaPesach achar chatzos, the Mishnah says, let's say you have Korban Pesach after chatzos, meaning after the time that you're supposed to be eating it, metame esayadayim. At that point in time, it becomes like noser, becomes leftover, and it makes a person's hands tameh. Hapigul v'hanoser metame esayadayim. In general, the Mishnah says, pigul and noser are metame yadayim. Pigul, again, is a situation where you have the wrong machshava in terms of bringing the carbon. You have the wrong intent. Noser is when you leave it over. Those are both going to be metame, the hands. And the Gemara says, Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi says, nisnamnu yochelu nirdemu lo yochelu. If they just doze off, they can continue eating. If they fall into a real sleep, then they cannot. Hechi dami nisnamnim. What is considered nisnamnim? What does it mean to doze off? Amar Ravashi says, nim velo nim, tir velo tir. What it means is, you're sleeping, but you're not sleeping. You're awake, but you're not fully awake. Kagon, takari le va'ani. For example, it would be, let's say you call the guy and he answers, velo yada lahadure svari. He can't answer you with a logical type of answer. V'chi mitchru le mitchar. And then if you remind him that you spoke to him, he's going to remember. That's considered dozing off. Abaya have a Yosef Kame de Rabba. Abaya was sitting in front of Rabba. Chazad the Kanimnem. He saw he was dozing off. Amar le, he said to him, Meinam konoi mar. He said, the master is dozing off. Amar le, minume kamenamnem. He says it's just dozing off. Utnan, and we learned in the Mishnah, nisnamnemu yochlu nirdemu lo yochlu. If they're just dozing off, they can eat. If it's a deeper sleep, then it's a problem. And now in this particular case with Abaya and Rabba, obviously it's after the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, so the case wasn't where they were eating Korban Pesach. The case is they were eating the Afikom, and they were eating the matzah that is in lieu of the eating of the Korban Pesach. And Abaya was saying, did the master fall asleep? You're no longer allowed to continue eating. And Rabba said, no, it was just dozing off. It's not going to be a problem. And the Gemara continues quoting the Mishnah, HaPesach achar chatzos metami esayadayim v'chulu. It said that if you have Korban Pesach after chatzos, it becomes like noser, and it's metami a person's hands. And the Gemara says, Alma me chatzos havale noser. You see that according to the Mishnah, once chatzos comes, once midnight comes, the matzah or the Korban Pesach becomes noser. So the Gemara says, Man Tana, who is this Tana that says that you can only eat Korban Pesach until chatzos? Amar Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef says, Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah. It is Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah, the Tanya, as we learned in a Brisa. V'yachlu es habasar balaylo hazeh. It says about Korban Pesach, you eat it on this night. It uses the word hazeh. And Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah Omer, Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah says, based on that, Nemar kan balayla hazeh, v'nemar lahalan v'yavarta be'eretz Mitzrayim balayla hazeh. It uses the same exact language by the Makas Bechoros. It says by Korban Pesach, you eat it balayla hazeh. And it says by Makas Bechoros that I'm going to go through Mitzrayim on this night. Ma'alahalan al chatzos, avkan al chatzos. Just like over there, Makas Bechoros took place at chatzos, so too you only have until chatzos to eat Korban Pesach. So Amar lo Rabbi Akiva. So Rabbi Akiva said to Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah, "V'alo nemar chipazon." Doesn't it say you eat b'chipazon, meaning at shas chipazon? We eat the Korban Pesach until the time when they hurried out of Mitzrayim, until the time they actually left Mitzrayim, and that would be the morning. So don't you have all night to eat Korban Pesach? And imkain matamad lomer balayla. So if so, what does it mean that it says balayla? According to Rabbi Akiva, if it means you have until shas chipazon, what's balayla? Because yachol yenachal kekachim bayom. Because I might have thought that I can eat it during the day as well. Talmud lomer balayla. That's why he says no. You only have the night. Balayla hu nechal veino nechal bayom. You have to eat it at night. You can't eat it during the day. In other words, according to Rabbi Akiva, balayla hazeh doesn't teach you until chatzos. It teaches you at night and not during the day. But you really have until the shas chipazon. So the Gemara asks for Rabbi Akiva. Now, according to Rabbi Akiva, Hai hazeh mayavili. What does he do with the word hazeh? Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah's limud was that it says hazeh over here. We make a gezerah shaveh to the hazeh that it says by Makas Bechoros. So to that, the Gemara says, that comes to tell you to eliminate an additional night. Because I might have thought, Pesach kachim kalim, since Korban Pesach is kachim kalim, Ushlomim kachim kalim, and Korban Shlomim is kachim kalim, so ma Shlomim necholim l'shnei yomim v'laylo echad, just like a Korban Shlomim is eaten for 2 days and a night, Af Pesach ukim leilos b'makom yomim. This is what I might have thought. Maybe I would say that Korban Pesach, the nights should be swapped with the days. Maybe you would think that you should eat Korban Pesach for 2 nights in a day. In other words, you start the night of the 15th, maybe you continue the day of the 15th, and then you go into the night of the 16th. So Kasav Rachmana Hazeh. So for that, the pasuk says Hazeh and says no, it's on this night. This is the only night you can eat it. Don't think it goes into another night as well. For Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah, and then Gemara responds. For Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah, Amar Loch, Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah responds to you, Miloto Siru ad Boker Nafka. What are you talking about? It says you can't leave it till morning. Obviously, you're not allowed to go the day and the next night because it says it can't be. You have to stop eating by morning. That's the morning of the 15th. So that's nafka. That's where we learned that out from. For Rabbi Akiva, Amar Lach, Rabbi Akiva says back to you, Ilokasav Rachmana Hazeh. No, if it wouldn't have said Hazeh, have amina, my boker sheni. I might have thought when it says don't leave it over till morning, it means the second morning, the morning of the 16th. Maybe you have all the way until then. Rabbi Lazar Amar Lach, and Rabbi Lazar will respond to you, Kol Heicha Dechasav Boker Rishonu. Anytime it says in the Torah Boker, it means the first morning, so it is clear you only have until the first morning. And the Rashbam over here says, within Rabbi Akiva, Yachol Yehei Nechel, in other words, the Gemara said in Rabbi Akiva that I might have thought it's eaten during the day. That's why it says by Laila. Now it's a little difficult because the Gemara is going to go on to say, again in Rabbi Akiva, I might have thought it's eaten for 2 nights in a day. So we've already told you can only be eaten at night. So the Rashbam here explains, Yachol Yeinechel Keshar Kodshim Biyom Shchitaso. What the Gemara meant was, I might think that it should be eaten on the day you shecht it, meaning you shecht it on the 14th a day, maybe it should be eaten then. Kederach Toda Shafiz Ma'ana Chilasa Yom Echad V'yochel Kol Yom Shchitasa. Maybe what you're supposed to do is you eat it the day of its shchita, V'halayla Ad HaBoker Min HaTorah, and then you eat it even that following night, the night of the 15th. Maybe that's what the pasuk means. Dechsib B'yom Karbano Yeyochel Lo Yaniach Mimenu Ad Boker. That's what I might have thought, and that tells us no, you cannot begin eating it on the 14th during the day. And then the Gemara had said in Rabbi Akiva, okay, but maybe you start the 15th at night, and you should go all the way through the 15th day and the 16th at night. And to that, the Gemara says, that's what Rabbi Akiva does with Balayla Hazeh. And again, Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah says you don't even need it, because it says Ad Boker, and we know that Ad Boker means Ad Boker Rishon. The Gemara says, Amar Rava says, Achal matzah bizman hazeh achar chatzos. What if a person eats matzah, meaning what we use as the afikoman? What if you do that nowadays after chatzos? Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah lo yotzi yedei chovaso. According to Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah, you're not yotze, because just like Korban Pesach cannot be eaten after chatzos, according to Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah, so too the matzah cannot be eaten after chatzos. Gemara says, Pshita, isn't that obvious? The kaven diskish lepesach kepesach dami. Since the eating of the matzah is compared to the eating of the Korban Pesach, it should be the same. So the Gemara says, no, I might have thought, no, the pasuk takes it out from the hekesh. Kamash Malon comes to teach us that when the pasuk says you still continue eating matzah, we go back to the original rules. In other words, originally the pasuk compares matzah to Korban Pesach. You eat matzah, al matzah sumurorim yochlu. We eat the matzah with the Korban Pesach. So then we would say, yeah, but once you don't have a Korban Pesach, it's an independent obligation. Maybe it doesn't follow the rules of Korban Pesach anymore. Now it says, Bo Erev Tochlu Matzos. Maybe the matzah can be eaten the entire night. We don't say that it follows the same way as if you were eating the matzah with the Korban Pesach, and that's what it's telling you, know, that when the pasuk says there's an obligation of matzah independent of Korban Pesach, that is going to be, it's still going to be the same obligation until Chatzos. Ma'od Tema, Afke Rachmana, says the Rashbam, Afke Rachmana l'chovas matzah b'laylo harishon me'akesha daksha Rachmana kapesach ba'ikar al matzah sumurom yochlu. I might think we're no longer in the category of that pasuk of al matzah sumurorim, because now we don't have a Korban Pesach. So then Kamash Malon dechia hadre kra l'chovas matzah b'laylo harishon bizman hazeh techsib ba'erev tochlu matzah. Since the pasuk comes back and says no, even nowadays, even without a Korban Pesach, you have an obligation of matzah, it's still going to be until Chatzos as if there still was a Korban Pesach. And the Mishnah said, "Hapigol v'anosur metamias yadayim v'chulu." It said that pigol and nosur, they cause tumas yadayim, they cause a person's hands to become tamei. Ravuna v'Rav Chisda, it's a machlokas. We'll see, not really a machlokas, but a machlokas. Ravuna and Rav Chisda. Chad omer mishum chishtei kahuna v'chad omer mishum atzlei kahuna. One says the reason why it causes tumah is because of kohanim who are suspect, and the other one says it's because of kohanim who are lazy. And another machlokas, chad omer kazayis v'chad omer kebetza. One says when we talk about this tumah, it's specifically by a kazayis, and the other one says it's by a kibetz that has to be the size of an egg. And the Rashbam over here explains, Chad Omer Mishum Chishdei Kuna L'Kamon Mefarish Da Pigul Koi. When we talk about kohanim who are suspect, that's why pigul is metame yadayim. When we talk about the reason why noser is metame yadayim, that's because of lazy kohanim. V'lo pligi, there's no real machlokas over here. Elachad mefarish time of the pigel, v'chad mefarish time of the noser. One amora is telling you the reason why pigel is metame yadayim. One is telling you why noser is metame yadayim. And we'll continue this discussion in the next video on Daf Kuf Chaf Aleph Amud Aleph.